What's up, everybody? Paul here from the Hoops Crew with a brand new episode of the Paul James Show. It is our week one of the AFL Finals review episode. I'm very keen to get into it, as obviously many of you are very excited Geelong supporters wanting to pump up our massive win on the weekend. You might also notice, like Chris Scott, like the Geelong Football Club, I can host a show and chew gum at the same time. I don't really understand the ridiculous saying, but it's been kicking around for a while that we can walk and chew gum. Well, embrace it. Ben's stupid idea. If you don't like the joke, it's his fault. Anyway, let's get into things tonight. There's a lot we want to cover. Of course, we're going to go really deep into the Geelong and Brisbane matchup, talking about all of the hard-hitting topics of conversation from there, from Cam Rayner to the result to Jai Clark in his 3 minutes he spent on the ground, a whole bunch of different topics from this particular game. And I guess I want to begin before we get to all of that by just thanking all of you who've come out in droves off the back of the win. The number of people who've tuned into the reaction video, all the people who've dialed into post-game live, and the enormous watch time that has gotten since. Ben needs a little bit of a leg up. He struggles with a bit of confidence running the show because not really, like, people don't really care. Everyone really much prefers what I've got to say and what I'm doing on this platform. So to give Ben a little bit of love as well through post-game live, very important for him. So thank you all of you for just picking him back up, dusting him off, giving him a bit of confidence to keep going around again. And the chaps are going to be posting their review episode tomorrow, dissecting both the Geelong and Brisbane game, but also the amazing win that the girls had against the Bombers this weekend as well. So make sure to check out what they've put together. Thank you in advance for tuning in tonight and your constant engagement, your excitement. There is a lot, as Amy says, as Amy says, and she's in this case buzzing about O'Sheen's performance, but at the same time, there's so much to be excited about from this particular matchup. Really, really excited and keen to chat to all of you. So I'm seeing Shadu here in the chat. Ben is there as well. Again, pick him up, make him feel a little bit better about himself. Jackie's here. Who else have we got? We've seen Scars HD, the Brisbane Floppers, and Amy, obviously we've already referenced as well. Looking forward to chatting to all of you over the course of the night. It's going to be a good time. And please share all of your thoughts over the course of the night. But let's get into what we're all here to talk about, which is, of course, the margin, the result, the Geelong and Brisbane demolition from this Friday night. The Cats getting the job done, 16-16, 112, beating the Lions, the reigning premiers, let's not lose sight of, 11-8-74. And it was never really in doubt. And had it not been for some really dodgy umpiring and an Academy Award-winning performance from Cam Rayner, the margin would have been even worse. We'll even toss the Kai Lohmann and Tom Stewart thing in there as well. 3 goals that Brisbane really didn't deserve that would have made this margin considerably worse. In fact, north of 50. And the Cats put in a pretty complete performance. It's really what you want to see going into the first week of finals. We, of course, now have the break. There's always going to be that concern that we're now playing basically one game in about a month leading into the prelim final. Does scare me just a little bit. But all we can do is win for the time being, right? So 16-16, 112, beating the Lions 11-8-74. For the Cats, Ollie Dempsey with 3 straight, Jeremy Cameron with 2 goals, 3. Did all of those come in the first quarter? Tom Stewart. Oh, there's one of those Ben mistakes. Old S. Stewart here. Tom Stewart with 1 goal straight. For the Lions, Cam Rayner with 3 goals, 2. Only one of them legitimate. 2 to Kai Lohmann. Only one of them legitimate. 1 to Logan Morris. And then on the disposal side, of course, it looks, you look at that and you go, oh, Brisbane, pretty good performance. Dane Zorko, 35. Neil with 32. Dunkley with 30. But they were just woefully ineffective possessions from a lot of their big-hitting, big-ticket players. Less is more, as was proven by the Cats on the night. Ollie Dempsey leading our disposal count with 25. Max Holmes with 23. Tom Stewart with 22. And a legion of others there or thereabouts as well, from Bailey Smith to Brian Myers to many other players cycling through the midfield and around the grounds. Mark Blitzarves, I think, with 20 as well as the number 1 ruckman. Just an incredible performance from the Cats over the course of the night. And very, very proud to be a Cats man right now. As I'm sure many of you are really excited to be Cats fans. It's been quite incredible. Absolutely loving it. No spieling mistakes from Ben tonight, apparently. Let's highlight some of the comments and the thoughts here. Amy says, don't get me wrong, Paul. There was a lot loved about the game, so many moments, but it feels huge in the context of O'Sheen's career, feeling like he really belongs, etc. Certainly, I think it was a performance against a newly crowned All-Australian. It was a big moment to, I guess, be noticed by the broader AFL community. When you do this thing against such this incredible job against a very noted player who's just, again, been anointed an All-Australian for the year on one of the biggest possible stages, the AFL finals, you're really, really asserting yourself in this game. I think it was incredibly important, the performance that O'Sheen provided us on the weekend. And I think a lot of other people, really sat up and paid close attention to it as well. Shadu says, apparently Rayner's nickname used to be Hollywood. There's a surprise. I'm not sure, sorry, Shadu, what was sacrilegious here. You'll have to clarify that one. Jennifer Bullock has popped in, just highlighting it was a great win. It was, and thank you for tuning in via Facebook tonight. Scars says, we did it on 22 and we should have done it in 24 as well. 25 is our year. Ben says, I'm proud to be a TMNT fan. I'm not, but anyway. Stay tuned for the off-season where I'll be starting to stream some Teenage Ninja Turtles on the Hoops crew. Amy says only one kick to halftime from McCluggage. He got a few more late, but he was completely blunted in this particular game. Roaming, you angry or happy to see me? Hi, Paul. Lots of angry emojis. Oh, sacrilegious to get Tom Stewart's name wrong. I know. Ben, he's a joke. We don't ask him to do much. And I'm not some sort of English teacher, but seriously. Good. Roaming's happy. There's some complicated use of emojis there. But anyway, sacrilegious to say a square isn't a rectangle. That is also true. Oh, no, hang on. You nearly... I nearly fell hook, line, and sinker for that. Roaming was hoping I hosted tonight. That is a bold-faced lie. All right. Let's kind of pick through some of the numbers here and some of the topics of conversation from this game, because there is a lot to dissect. And I want to do all of that with you tonight. So let me... Oh, grabbing the wrong screen there. Screens on screens gets a bit messy sometimes. There we go. Let's kind of pick through some of the key details from this particular matchup. But Wayne does summarize it really well. How lucky are we to be Cats fans? And I put out that video. I think Kane Corns kind of kicked off the conversation early in the year. I think it was Kane Corns anyway, that said that as supporters, as Geelong supporters, we were a bit entitled. No, spoiled. Spoiled was what he said. And honestly, in the good way, we are spoiled. We've been such a fortunate fan base for this entire century, really. Certainly beginning with 2004. And shout out to all the Essendon supporters who are celebrating and enjoying the big 21st anniversary on Thursday night last week. That was to the date when they won their last final. Because we were the one then that kicked off the drought with the loss that they had to us the following week. But we have been the most dominant team of the entire century. And regardless of what you want to say about premiership wins and those sort of things, we've won 4 of them. Obviously, that's equal most with Hawthorn and Brisbane, I should say now as well. But we've just remained relevant essentially the entire time. And it's been, and so when, I talk about spoiled, we are too good. We have been too good, but we're spoiled for riches. It's a blessing what we've kind of gotten. I'm not an overly devout religious person, but incredible blessings that this club has provided us over many, many years. So feeling incredibly good to be a Cats fan. But let's pick through. Geelong is a happy city when we win. It's a happy city often as a result. All right, let's kind of pick through some of the key pieces of information here. And of course, 86,000 people piled into the MCG for the game on Friday night. And every single one of you, if you're a Cats fan, but probably even I actually witnessed a few Lions supporters in the MCC where I am, in the corporate suite that were booing Cam Rayner. I was stunned. The Cam Rayner booing from a Brisbane supporter absolutely floored me at one point in the third quarter there, and I absolutely loved it. They booed specifically when he kicked his third goal, and he kind of, was trying to give this sort of bullshit to the Geelong supporters. Absolutely loved that they weren't even copying that sort of crap. It was awesome. But I know I have quite a bit on the platform, and I know Ben has referenced it at other points. The chaps might have spoken a little bit about it as well. I've been a little bit critical over the years about Geelong supporters who attend the game being a little bit too subdued. And I'm not necessarily saying booing and that sort of thing. And Jackie says, I do not boo. When it's a Brisbane supporter turning on one of their own, I'm going to see humour in that. But I understand what you mean. Oh, shit. Where was I going? Damn it! I got derailed. Jackie, someone course correct me here. Oh, that's right. We've been a little bit too mellow over this. I've criticised you all, you all, the Geelong supporter base, all of us, for being a little bit too tame at different points. I was really impressed by the response to the Cam Rayner thing. The stakes are almost as high as they could possibly be. I'm not wild about booing, but I was kind of okay with making an exception here. We needed to make a stand that's both players and anyone that, off field possible. Make it as hostile an environment as possible. Make the place shake because of what went on. And that, I've not heard the MCG like that before. It was absolutely incredible. Ben had mentioned, I think during post-game live, I think I've gotten a text from him since he's not heard it that loud through the TV before. It was absolute, and in the ground. I've never heard anything like it. It was absolutely extraordinary. I loved it. So, Brendan also, I don't know if you and Bianca spotted yourselves, but I spotted you on the big screen at one point there during the game. I think it might have been during the little dancing thing during 3/4 time. I think Bianca had popped up on screen. I could see you in the corner of it. Also, a big shout out. You got a lot of love on the coverage of the women's game on the weekend too, for the Georgie, art. So you guys are absolutely crushing it right now. Already far bigger than the Hoops crew. You guys are doing an amazing job. But yeah, the Rayner chant almost broke out. They tried, got quickly squashed. Jackie says, we are too mellow. I do love shouting and yelling, though. Dave just said on Insta how amazing the crowd was. It was for anyone who wasn't there, I don't think I can do it justice, in terms of how strongly I emphasize the tone and the feeling the MCG was. I feel like, for the most part, it obviously had kind of finals energy before the Rayner moment. But from that point onwards, it was like nothing I've ever experienced at the football before. And I've been to the grand final several times, and it's been a totally full house. And while three of those, how many have we been to? Hawthorn, Collingwood, Sydney. Oh, sorry, and Port. Well, obviously one's been a loss. Two of them have been a blowout, and the Pies kind of kicked in a bit later on. I've just never. Ben says, did you open the window of the corporate suite? I won't lie, I tried. I did see a tweet from Ross Simmons, the head of Big Ant Studios, that indicated he was coming in to the game, and he does have corporate suites. I won't lie, I did shoot him a message and be like, what are you doing? But he's not too happy with me as a Player 2 editor at the moment, because we kind of dunked on the Rugby League 26 game, which is shit, I might add. But he was none too impressed by our negative coverage of the game. And so I think I might be on his shit list a little bit right now, but he'll be back. Ross will be back. But unsurprisingly, didn't get a reply. All grand finals are tame, too many corporates. Yeah, I mean, one of the things that really impressed me actually from that 2011 grand final was when the Collingwood chant went up and it got drowned out by the Geelong one. They were trying to will their team back into it, and the Geelong chorus just completely drowned it out, which was awesome. But yeah, this was an energy you don't get at grand finals, as you say, because there's too many corporates involved. This was genuinely something I've never heard it before. It was crazy good. Of course, what we need to take away from this is that the Cats are now into, yet another preliminary final. That's now 10 in the last 15 years, which is, again, going back to the spoilt nature of us as Geelong supporters. And again, the positive light, we've been so spoilt over these years to be able to support a constantly relevant, constantly competitive club. I know you get the likes of the likes of Lucas, who are flat out wrong and will criticize the fact that we make so many prelims and haven't won them. You can't be the best every year. We've won more premierships than any team. Equal most premierships than any team this century. And we didn't have to bottom out. We didn't have to go through the doldrums and work our way back up and suffer along the way. No, we continue to fight. We continue to come close. We continue to give ourselves a chance every single year. Lucas, you're just flat wrong. Struggling with caviar overdose. This is bloody chewy. Because, you know, we walk and chew gum. We podcast and chew gum. Drop a like on this video if you haven't already. Caviar and cucumber sandwiches related reflux. We had a rebound. 2024 in July was a rough 4 weeks. It was. We changed our list over completely then. Wayne says, I was at a heavy metal gig at Margaret Court and I heard the crowd. What metal gig was on at Margaret Court? I'm curious. Cats don't rebuild, they reload. That's a headline. That is a headline, Shadu. That's an incredible way to look at it. I absolutely adore that. Very nicely said. But let's continue on in the meantime. So, yeah, as I said, we've secured another preliminary final spot. Ollie Dempsey flips everyone who didn't select him in the All-Australian panel off. The best wingman in the game. Jeremy Cameron was dominant early on, forced the change of matchup. And Ben, what video, are we talking about? You'll need to clarify. Oh, yeah, sorry. Shadu, I might be stealing your little title there. It's too good not to use at some point. Sorry. Not sorry. Yeah, he was absolutely dominant early, forced the change of matchup, which did quell him a little bit, but also the tone was set. Geelong was really dominant. It was absolutely fantastic from Jeremy Cameron early on. Certainly felt like with the number of shots he was having, like, hang on, the 17 goals he needs to get the 100 might be on the cards here across the final series if he kicks 7 or 8, because it was shaping up that way early. But didn't genuinely think that, but you never know. Of course, and we've already discussed it, but Oisin Mullin kicking his first AFL goal and the lockdown job on Hugh McCluggage, keeping him to 14 disposals, was amazing. Jack Bose was magnificent. I can't find the graphic. We think we've deleted the Jack Bose graphic, which is unfortunate, but he was wonderful on the night. Loved his competitive edge. Loved all that he did. Grid says, was that just cramp for Manor near the end? That was just resting players near the end, but maybe there was a bit of cramp. He was electric throughout. Amy also highlights the 13 different goal kickers. I'm jumping through my notes a little bit here, but absolutely, that's a record for all clubs in the finals. Was awesome. Tom Stewart, and a few of you have commented on the thumbnail for this video. I made sure, I know we could have put Oisin on the front, given his first goal. We could have put Ollie Dempsey's amazing Lionel Messi goal. We could have put a whole bunch of different things. I needed to be Tom Stewart. That grin, Brendan, we're skewing the data here a little bit. I've been talking a little bit about samples and stuff with my year 9s at the moment. Let's not get too funny buggers here, but we'll talk about it soon. It was, I've lost the comment here. That grin, the same one that we saw after he took that amazing mark against the Dogs years ago. That grin on his face, you just knew. You knew, and obviously the Rayner goals were to come next. Immediately after that goal, Cam Rayner got his too. But the second you saw that grin on the big screen, you're like, we're good. They're feeling it. They're all feeling it. Tom Stewart's feeling it. We're going to win this one. Shadu also says SDK's best game for us for the year. I would agree. Or if it's not his best, it's very, very close to his best. He is, as I mentioned, both him and Tom Stewart actually have started to find form at just the right time. There's a proper cheeky Tommy grin. Yes, yeah. Tom Stewart's looking good. I love the movement that he's gotten back. He's weaved through a couple of packs. Stewie is back absolutely at the right time. Flash says Jai Clark was selected to confuse the Oppo. I'm going to say it now because I know there was a lot of concern, hate, frustration directed at the Cats pre-game about Jai Clark being put in the team. I've got a video coming later this week that'll be about Jai Clark and I think the negativity, the the excessive negativity that I think he's been on the receiving end of from Cats fans. I think we're always looking for, unfortunately, like it or not, because we set such a high bar, we're always kind of looking for someone who's not quite up to standard and who can become the whipping boy. It's been Zach Guthrie, it's been Brian Myers, and I think and a range of other players too. Right now, I think it's Jai Clark, but I think he's absolutely sensational. He's playing the game the way he should be playing, and I think it's only a matter of time before he explodes. So stay tuned for a video later in the week about that one. But as Brendan referenced before, 100% efficiency from his one disposal in 3 minutes of game time, straight down the throat of Tyson Stengel. It's a shame he didn't end the game with a goal assist because Tyson sprayed it. But Brendan says he's the perfect sub. I think he could be for this final series too. I'm very excited to kind of get that video out there and kind of share my thoughts. And Amy said, kind of highlights a little bit. You know, not every player develops at the same rate. People need to leave Clark alone. Honestly, Ben, I don't blow bubbles. Honestly, I think he's like our Zach Guthrie. Like, he's playing the right way. And yeah, actually, Grin says very well. We were whipping O'Sheen not that long ago, just earlier this year, the first couple of weeks after he had a few bags kicked against him. We were very, very critical as it. And I'll admit, I was quite critical as well. I thought, he's not ready. Didn't want to throw him out, but he wasn't ready. And he proved us wrong. Good Lord. I think he's our Zach Guthrie, though. I think we just need to give him time for his body to develop. I think he's playing his football this is Jai Clark, He's playing his footy exactly the way it should be played, and he just needs to grow into his game, essentially. Roaming says Geelong have our own under-23 competition of trying to get into the AFL side. We do. We've got so much depth. Sorry, I do mean the royal we, the community overall, not just through the Hoops crew, but across the board. We're negative. And concerned and thinking maybe he needed to go back to the seconds, that the likes of Jed Buse needed to be in. And Ben says, I remember the Grind haters. Grind remembers the haters. He referenced it when we spoke on Behind the Play a couple of years ago. He's not going anywhere, Kiri. He's not going anywhere. His trade value has gone up, absolutely. I think it's set to go up, but favorite whipping boy is Toby Conway. I don't think he deserves a whipping boy status. I think it's just general frustration because he's trying his guts out and his body just keeps failing him. We know what he could be, and his body just keeps failing. I think it's more frustration rather than whipping boy in that case. So I don't think he quite fits in yet. 100% on the money. But it's okay, Flash. We're all allowed to be wrong sometimes. Lucas is all the time. All right. Mark Blitzarves kicked this amazing right foot floater, and he did an incredible job in Reece Stanley's absence. I wonder if this is how it will stay through the final series and whether Reece Stanley's return actually ends up being a bit of a negative structurally, because what Mark Blitzarves unlocked for us over the course of the game was amazing. He kicked that one goal as well, which was great. I think it's awesome. When it comes to whipping boys, Reece Stanley is a god. He's always been, and I guess, kind of timely here, considering I just speculated that maybe Reece doesn't get back in. But Mark Blitzarves did such a phenomenal job. Reece Stanley with a hamstring, you don't want to necessarily take risks with hamstrings. I do wonder if maybe this is our ruck solution for the remainder of this final series. Shadu says, SEM was saying it's an open secret that Reece Stanley's finished. He himself apparently is openly talking about it at the club. Of course, yeah. Do you think we'll get Marshall still? 100%. That's another video I'll be preparing this week. So stay tuned for videos on both Rowan Marshall and on Jai Clark before the week is out. But of course, we are waiting to the end of the season. That's where the whole conversation about Marshall is where the reference about Geelong walking and chewing gum kind of comes into the conversation. That's what Geelong was being described as being the best club. Chris Scott had kind of spoken about it, that we're more than capable of walking and chewing gum at the same time. And that's why I'm rolling with some gum tonight, just to make a reference to it. I want to see some, if people can load me, I'm of the mind that Hunter Holmes would be a good one to cover. I haven't seen enough video packages of his game. So if you found an amazing, cut that kind of highlights some of his best, highlights, I'd love to see it because I want to be able to kind of reference some of these clips in the video. Otherwise, I feel like it's a little bit too thin. It's a little bit me going, because Max is great. We'd love to have Hunter. So apparently slipped down the draft. Yeah, I had heard those rumblings a little bit. I also see, some top 30s, top 40s, and our mate, he's been getting himself a bit of VFL time. Jesse Mellor hasn't been climbing up that list, so we should be able to get him cheap as well. Let's all keep quiet about Hunter Holmes. Sorry, but Max is going to make sure that that's not going to happen. We do like them, but we never seem to get them both. Tom and Sam, Selwoods, Dan and Troy Menzel, etc. We love our siblings, but we can only ever seem to get one for the most part. All right, let's keep rolling through. Chris Scott obviously was absolutely in raptures with Ollie Dempsey's goal smashing on the window. You like that excitement and energy. Max Holmes' hamstrings are fine, thankfully, but we don't have to worry yet. We have to worry about the prelim. That's always our problem. Brad Scott can be Chris's personal assistant, the lesser Scott. Oh, yeah, we've got Ollie and Jack now. We did have to trade in to get one of them, but you're right. Thank you, Brendan. Shaw Manor. Now, I said this when I jumped onto post-game live, and obviously I kind of had a limited perspective from where I was on the ground and not really being able to get the best look at the other side of the ground. And so I kind of underrated Ollie Dempsey's game a little bit at the time. But Sean Manor still, for me, is in the top 3 players of this particular matchup. He was absolutely sensational. The way he sliced through contests, the composure and poise that he brought to the table, which is absolutely something that I guess I didn't really expect. A player who spent so much time... Oh, sorry. Yeah, obviously, we go back a little bit with the Ablets. But sorry, I did mean a little bit more in the last decade. Nathan's long been gone now. I have lost sight of what I was getting at there. He's just got so much poise, so much composure, Sean Manor. And I really didn't expect that coming from the VFL system, that I just thought that, making that step up to the AFL, he's always going to be a good player, but is he going to be that cream of the crop? And he's absolutely proving that he's the cream of the crop. We haven't had a brother-sister yet, but I do believe I think it's the O'Driscolls, are both in the AFL. I don't know if they're both at Freo. There's an O'Driscoll at... someone confirm that. I think there's the O'Driscolls, both at the Freo men's and women's teams. I think that's your pairing. But anyway, Lachie Neale, he got injured. Calf gone, season over. Eric Hipwood was already out injured. He's now, they've now discovered that he actually had a partially torn ACL. The Fredericks, but wasn't one at Port. And one, I'm talking about the boys here, so I'm referencing your brother-sister thing from before. I think the O'Driscolls at Freo. But yeah, Eric Hipwood, they discovered there's a partially torn ACL, so he's going to be out for quite some time as well. Freezer says, Tassie team is going to beat us all by fielding an entire team that's related. I like it. Just in all of their team photos, they'll be making sure they'll be bringing back the collared shirts just so they can cover up the stitching on the side of the neck where the second head was cut off. Only 6 marks inside 50 for the Lions. Logan Morris, Sam Day, Ty Gallup combined for 1 goal. Also, real shame for, I think, Ty Gallup, because apparently while the game was running, someone broke into his apartment at the Pullman, or his hotel room at the Pullman, and stole a whole bunch of cash, which is being investigated at the moment. Someone who I'm trying to make sure I'm really careful about my wording here because I don't actually want to be disrespectful. Absolutely did not look like him for some fairly obvious reasons. Complexion. Went in and claimed to be him, and the hotel staff allowed him into the room where he robbed. They robbed. Oh, it's like a horse. Okay, gallop. Cool. They broke into Ty Gallop's room and just took everything, which is absolutely wild. Like, how, if I hadn't recorded enough of the week already, the real nuffs, the Pullman staff. But anyway, had a fake pass with his name on it. Yo, here's me. And it's just like the that old Chopper Chops ad. I don't need to say any more, but there was a complete ethnicity difference in that ad. And I believe it's the same thing here. Like, very clearly different people. And yet, in this guy went. It's absolutely insane. Also, if you know the Chopper Chops ad I'm talking about, very, very clever ad. Very funny. That goes back a long way. Such a good one. I think he's trying to get into a club. He had a fake ID. It was brilliant. Loved it. Let's move on, though. We've now won 14 of our last 16 games. And importantly, well, not importantly at all, only important if you gamble. The Cats are now outright flag favourites at $2.50. The Pies at $3.50, and then everyone else after that. Of course, Geelong and Collingwood getting a bit of extra love because they have their home preliminary finals. Let's go around the grounds. Maybe the security guy didn't know who he was doing security for. I mean, possibly. Let's go around the grounds a little bit here and pick through some of the other games this week. All the road teams, yeah, that's including Geelong because we weren't playing at home, won this weekend. The Pies going over to Adelaide and getting the job done. Obviously, we recorded our Paul James show for last week, the preview episode, a little bit earlier last week, so we didn't clash with that matchup. Adelaide and Collingwood. Collingwood got the job done. Thank you, Clint. Very much appreciate your support. And thank you to everyone who's tuned in so far tonight across Twitter, across Facebook, across YouTube. Drop a like on this video if you haven't already. Share the Hoops Crew content with your friends and family. We'd love to see more of you in the chat over the course of the night and checking out all of our content, especially through this final series. It's been amazing, as I said earlier on, to see the sheer number of you who've tuned into the reaction video, to post-game live, to Nuff of the Week this week. Massive spikes. Really, really appreciate it. Roaming also asked, and we'll quickly hone in on this one before we continue around the grounds. Have I ever taught PE? Never, not for a day. I mean, I've picked up replacement classes or whatever when I've had a group away on excursion or something like that and I'm needed. But Anshadu says also, join the Discord. No, I've never taught PE before, roaming. Very sporty person, play a lot of sport. But, and I make it an annual habit of kicking the students' ass at whatever sport they choose. In fact, the Year 11s are challenging the teachers to basketball this week. I am planning to win that game on my own. But anyway, we'll see what happens there. I teach food tech, how to prepare caviar and cucumber sandwich. Oh, get fucked. Darcy Moore probably played his best game for the Pies this week. I think it was still a little bit overrated. I think there was a lot of structural things from Adelaide that were a problem that led to him really thriving. He was allowed to be to play his very unaccountable self. And oh, geez, it is this chewy, but he thrived. He put in a really good game. Best game for the Pies for the year and helped carry them to victory. Things didn't look too great for him early on, though, with a pretty ugly turnover in that first quarter that resulted in a goal. But it seems like he's back up and about, which is dangerous for opposition teams. Adelaide veteran Taylor Walker marked his 300th game with 2 goals and a big contested mark, but the celebration was dampened by the loss and a cheeky moment where his son wore a Nick Dacos jumper. He's always wearing that jumper now. It's been a whole thing for a while. I'm getting rid of this. I can't chewy and talk excessively. Caviar reflux. The match was full of finals intensity, including a post-siren clash between Braden Maynard and Ben Keys. But look, I'm really excited to see how this matchup shapes up later this week when they go head-to-head with the Hawks, who won against the Giants. And wasn't that a game? That was wild how the whole thing played out. For the Hawks to get up by 42 points, it was 84-42 at the time. For the Giants to kick 7 goals in a row. Chris Scott's not talking as much as I am. Jackie. So, all right, you're all pissing me off. The Chewy's going back in. I was still holding it. Oh, it's not the same now. Anyway, yeah, Yeah, like, and they turned around 7 goals. They kicked the first of the final quarter, got themselves in front. Massive credit to the Hawks, who turned it around. Like, they regained a bit of momentum. Clint says, who were the guys with the shirts off last week in the review? That was Lucas and Kiri. Kiri probably kicking around still in the chat somewhere. Kiri, make yourself known. Lucas, I don't know if it didn't make it to the table. It was kind of swirling around in my hand, and then I just popped it back in. Sorry, flash. But I can't get another one. They're all inside. There he is. Oh, Lucas is live on his channel. Doesn't know, like, you're going to fight with the big dogs, Lucas, by going live at the same time as the Paul James show. And you're not going to win. You just can't win. Go play in your minnow league. Go host your own show when I'm not live, when post game live's not live. Like, go host then. Go do your own thing then. Have as many people as you want. I might come and tune in as well. But don't go head to head with me, mate, because I'll kick your ass. Darren says, Paul, are you going to put that Chewy next to Brisbane's coach in the Australian Hall of Sporting Fame Museum? We'll see. Luke's put some negative response to you about Chris Scott. And didn't Chris Scott prove Lucas wrong? I'm just going to sit there and be silent. I'm a humble man. Said nobody ever. But he fired his shots about Chris Scott. And Chris Scott proved him to be wrong. And we'll see what happens come the prelim. Maybe we'll lose and Lucas will start beating his chest and we'll all just kick him off post-game live. But Chris Scott's a legend. Anyway, continue on with, because we can cycle back to some of these comments and some of the other commentary around as well. But yeah, massive credit to Hawthorn who got the win there. Moving on to the big blockbuster game of the round in the end, the closest of the lot, Fremantle and Gold Coast. Gold Coast getting their first ever finals win. So massive congratulations to them in front of 57,000 people, the majority of which were absolutely Fremantle supporters. But obviously it was huge for Andrew Swallow to be the one. That's it. All time. Andrew Swallow getting the chance to put Gold Coast in front. And he did. Seemed like a goal. Turned out it was behind. And with 9 seconds on the clock, was probably the best thing. Certainly the lowest possibility of Freo winning was by going from full back to full forward in 9 seconds. As opposed to going back to the centre clearance, one swift kick out of the midfield, straight down someone's throat, and all of a sudden we're talking about it. I'm really disappointed, to be honest. I'm really flat about the fact that we didn't get extra time because it was shaping up that way. I really wanted to see extra time. It's been too long since we've had extra time in a final, and it would have been really exciting to see it play out. But it is what it is. Congratulations to Nat Fyfe on a phenomenal career. One of him and Andrew Swallow had to see the end of their career at the end of this game. End up being Nat Fyfe. Got to do so in front of his home crowd, his home audience. And that was awesome in that respect. Shadu says, yeah, and if you want to check out Luke's stuff, it's called the Geelong Zone. Check it out on YouTube. But if you're going head-to-head with me now, Lucas, I might even just quickly sneak in and take the piss a little bit. The Geelong Zone. Hang on, didn't you say he's live? Or is he on Twitter? Oh, he finished streaming 9 minutes ago. You take on the bull, Lucas, you get the horns. Oh, sorry, I mixed up my This is like me with Todd and Rowan Marshall for ages. Thank you, Jackie. This is damn straight I scared him off. Get out of my lane, Lucas. Went live at 7:42. And then I went live at 8 o'clock and he's like, oh shit, we better pack this up. All right. our final game that we want to talk about this weekend was the AFLW, the Cats and the Bombers. The girls getting their first win, breaking an 0-3 start to the season. I bet he's still shirtless. They finally got their first win, 31 points, a very complete performance. It was absolutely awesome to see the way the girls played. Georgie Press-Parkis in particular was absolutely sensational. Jackie Parry, I think it was 3 goals from Jackie in the end. Unreal. As Brendan says, get around them. Sometimes you just need a circuit breaker. They've obviously had some lapses throughout a range of games up to this point, and that's ultimately brought about their undoing. From game to game, and they didn't have that at all against the Bombers. It was a very complete performance. It was a great way to kickstart the season. We've already skipped from, I don't know, probably last, wherever we were at that particular point in time, I think now to 11th or 12th. Our percentage is still pretty healthy because they haven't been ridiculous losses. We're 11th. So another win or two, and suddenly things change pretty quickly. The Bombers were, if they won that game, going to be 4-0. So we did it against a strong team. So congratulations, girls. Absolutely loved it. Georgie Rankin played a great game as well, as Jackie highlights. Brendan says he can't believe how well they moved the ball in that wind. Even just watching Georgie's goal that came after the siren at the end of the game there, the way she just controlled that thing and hooped nicely was awesome. Flash asked, did Meg Mac play? No, she didn't. She was dropped. She got to present the new jerseys to our new Cats, but she was dropped, which is a bit awkward. Dropping the captain, but also getting the captain to then present the new players was a strange sort of thing. I'm not saying it was wrong, but it definitely felt odd. But Meg's a pro, did an amazing job. And I'm sure she'll kind of regain some touch and force her way back into the team really, really soon. Damn straight you're late. He's just pretending like I didn't kick his ass with the live stream, and he saw that I went live and succumbed. Lucas has arrived. The Geelong Zone is the channel I'm talking about. So who was asking about the Geelong Zone before? Clint was asking about the Geelong Zone. But the Geelong Zone, Lucas, you know full well, don't take me on, you can't win. Kiri says, we look better without Meg in the back line. Tough to say, but the game's gone past her, sadly. You might be right. Darren says, watch the AFLW mini replay and seen the Valid family on the TV. Brendan says, Bianca couldn't hold them up or they would have killed someone. the big banners, of course. Frim Luminowski says, will Geelong get Marshall? 100%. Again, stay tuned for a video about that later in the week. We, of course, spoke about Rowan Marshall earlier this season. We've now got some little updates. Chris Scott has been talking to him in the last few days, and I'm pretty comfortable that the deal's going to happen. So now it's, what does that deal look like? So stay tuned for a video about that later this week. And welcome to the channel too. I think this is the first time that I've seen you around in the Paul James Show. Really glad to have you here. Nothing is 100%, but it's pretty close. Apparently, the talk is a first rounder. To Flash's point, apparently the talk is a first rounder, but there's got to be something coming back the other way if that's the case. He's just not worth a first rounder, especially not at his age. But stay tuned for a video on that later in the week. Lucas says, the future is now. I am the future, mate. I haven't even peaked yet. So don't go counting those chickens. Bring it. I haven't even gotten the chest out yet, Lucas. We have to start playing that game. I'm not playing that game. But yeah, stay tuned for all that later on. But before we get into, because we'll cast an eye forward, we're not going to go full depth preview mode here because we will have the Paul James Show on Thursday night to talk a little bit about the semi-finals. But before we go any further in the show tonight, let's take a word from the bloody chat. There we go. Let's take a word from our sponsor, Cyril Cook Florist. Drop those flower emojis, please.
The Hoops Crew Media Network is proudly sponsored by Cyril Cook Florist. Visit them at shop 1211 Leather Street in Breakwater. Phone them on 035 222 2244 or visit their website at www.cyrilcookflorist.com.au and use the offer code GOCATS in the voucher field at checkout to get 20% off your next online purchase.
Thank you, Cyril Cook Florist, as always, for your ongoing support of the Hoops Crew and all we get up to. A few people have popped in really recently. Kiri telling people to drop the bell, hit the notification bell, ring the bell. Cyril Cook Florist, check out their stuff. They're awesome. Thank you, of course, to Cyril Cook Florist once again. Kerry Burke's popped in for the first time. How's it going? Very well. It always feels good after a big finals win. Horatio says, yes, I heard the Marshall deal is as good as done. I won't go that far. I'll subscribe to Afrim's thinking there that I don't think it's 100% done, but I think it's all but done. And it's then just about what does the transaction have to look like. I should not shave until we win the premiership. That's absolutely not happening. Better call Marshall. Battery. Nice reference there, Darren. There's our flower emojis piling in for Cyril Cook Florist. More of them. Flowers, flowers, flowers. Brennan says, I actually got a DM from Georgie last night. She still loves her sign, and I now I know Abby Holmes loves it too. Brendan, can we abuse the relationship a little bit here to get Georgie on the show? Just, hey, Georgie, I've got some friends at the Hoops Crew. They've got this show called Behind the Play. The host is really frustrated at his colleague because he won't put in the hard yards to speak to the Geelong Football Club to get more interviews going. So he's relied on me, his good mate, to reach out to you, Georgie Pressparkas, about coming on the show. Send. You can just put it through some sort of transcribing thing there and just get that done for you. I mean, I'm not actually get Lingy on board. I'm all for it. If hey, Gary's popped in to talk about Brad Close. If that's something you want to ask, genuinely, I'd be absolutely ecstatic. But I don't also I know you've kind of got a really good relationship with a lot of the girls, and I don't want you to necessarily put that on the line either for us. So if that's something you feel comfortable in doing, absolutely would be ecstatic. But I won't grovel for that. But thank you, and thank you if you do it. Kiri says, we need a sincere apology to Chris Scott after we win the flag, Lucas. I like it. Gary says, I apologize, Paul. Brad Close can play. Ye of little faith. I won't steal you too much. Oh, he's going to put Bianca out there. Okay. They never say no to children. Fantastic win Friday night. Another prelim. Let's hope Maxi Holmes does not do another hammy. This is the game I'm scared about when it comes to Max Holmes. The prelim is the final. That's the one I'm scared about. 2022, 2024. We're now back at it again. Cotton wool him. If that game is done and dusted nice and early, put him in cotton wool. Bianca's the boss. She's an absolute rock star. Your daughter is absolutely amazing. So is Declan, for that matter, as well. But I'd love to chat to the girls, both Georgie and Aisling. It'd be amazing. So let Bianca. Whoa! She's not stealing my show, Ben. She's young. She's got time. As Lucas said, Lucas is apparently the future. Well, I've got to cash in while I've got this opportunity. Maxi, it was the preliminary final. It wasn't the prelim, it was Brizzy. But also keep in mind it was against Collingwood in the prelim in 2022. So I think it's more right now, the only constant is prelim finals, not the opposition. The Irish Twins were superb. We didn't really talk about Mark O'Connor as much. We kind of got a little bit lost earlier in the show talking about Cam Rayner and his behavior in the whole thing. But Mark O'Connor did an absolutely incredible job on him as well. And really kind of put him in his place. All right, let's quickly cast an eye. And we will, like I said, have the Paul James show, the full preview on Thursday. So just to quickly cast an eye to some top-level information regarding the finals this week. Adelaide and Hawthorn, I believe, Kiri, I think you've said Good point. He kicked that amazing goal against Collingwood in 22. That was the qualifying final. It was Brizzy. So now we don't know, is it Brizzy or is it the prelim? We'll find out, I guess, in 2 weeks. Thank you, Jackie. Sorry. Yeah, you're 100% right. I'm an idiot. Yeah, and Jared's just quickly piled in, just in time to quickly clarify as well. What are your tips for this weekend's finals? I will expand more later on, but let's talk about it. Adelaide and Hawthorn, Friday, 7:40, Adelaide Oval. The last time they played, Adelaide defeated Hawthorn by 14 points in round 22. The Hawks have won 3 of their last 4 against the Crows, but have lost 6 from their last 7 at Adelaide Oval. Illness has swept through the Crows? Thanks, Ben, I guess. Better not be the prelim the day I will have. That's referencing, I think, the Crows making their way through. The winner will take on the Cats the following Friday night. Time to be confirmed. We actually don't know if it's going to be the Friday. Presumably, maybe the Friday, but is that actually locked yet? That particular part of it. Ben's giving me some dodgy notes. Anyway, we won't be playing Brisbane in the prelim this year, thankfully. Oh my God, it's all falling apart. Brisbane versus Gold Coast is the other game. Saturday, 7:35 at the Gabba. The Q Clash, the biggest Q Clash of all time. The one earlier in the year, like 6 weeks ago, was the biggest. They'd maxed it out. This is going to be even bigger than the last time they played. And this is why I'm a bit shocked that so many people are writing off the Suns going into this one. The last time they played, when Brisbane was healthier than they are now, round 21, Suns won by 66 points. I'm tipping the Suns this week. And I'm also tipping the Crows. They're my picks for this week. Mainly because I'm terrified by the idea of having to play Hawthorn in the prelim. The Suns is going to wear their pink jersey, and the winner will take on the Pies at the MCG next Saturday night, presumably. That then leaves us. Yeah, Amy says, I do not want to play Hawthorn. I'm the same. I heard that Collingwood idiot comment on SEN. I don't know. You'll have to tell me about this Collingwood idiot. Lucas also clarifies, Crows players had illness. Phil Thorpe, Fogarty, Dawson were the players that had the flu. Source 7 News Adelaide. Right. Okay, thank you. No Hawthorn, happy to play the Crows. Picked Suns by 45. That's a big margin. Darren says, let's play Adelaide. Look, I'm anxious about both teams. Honestly, as much as there's probably a lot of PTSD that underpins my stance on playing the Hawks, I think we've actually got a better chance of beating the Hawks. Thanks, Gary. But let's quickly go through the combinations and permutations at this point. Your grand final outcomes this year could be Geelong v Collingwood, Geelong v it's just like every Ben, you clown. Geelong v Collingwood, Geelong v Brisbane, Collingwood versus Hawthorn, Collingwood versus Adelaide, Geelong versus Gold Coast, Brisbane versus Hawthorn, Adelaide v Brisbane, Gold Coast v Hawthorn, Adelaide v Gold Coast. Anyone can play anyone pretty much at this point. Except for Geelong and Adelaide and Geelong and Hawthorn. Thank you, Ben. And Collingwood and Brisbane and Collingwood and Gold Coast. What a strange little sequence thing you've put together there, Ben. Anyway, it's time for some news. What flavor? It's just the Wrigley's spearmint, just the basic stuff. Kick Serb says the free kick was there for Rayner. There was no reason for O'Connor to be pushing and shoving when the ball was at the other end. Best not to touch unless ball was in the vicinity. There's always the little bumps and, gentle contact, kind of jostling for space and kind of making sure that you remind your opponent that you're always there. This wasn't. No, I cannot subscribe to that one. I'll buy into the Zach Guthrie thing afterwards. I'll even, not that I'm crazy about it either, but I'll even give people the Kai Lohman and Tom Stewart one, but I will not, with an amazing perspective that I had at the ground on the day, watching Mark O'Connor talk to the umpire for a good 2 minutes beforehand, explaining all of the things that Cam Rayner was doing and flipping and flopping and whinging and bitching and being a general, I didn't say it, a general asshole. Ultimately, the umpire fell for it. The umpire fell for the flop. And I'm actually filthy that the AFL didn't fine Cam Rayner. That's equally as ridiculous in my mind. Amy, I listened to SEN from 6 a.m. till 1:30 p.m. and never heard one Cat fan complaining about the umpiring. Huh. True, but again, this happens all the time and never gets penalised. It's an interesting one. Like I usually like to feel like I can be pretty neutral through these things, but I cannot buy into any idea that was that you're kind of right on this particular one. And thank you, by the way, for coming and joining the chat and kind of initiating the conversation. Really appreciate that. But I can't buy into your line of thinking with this particular point of conversation. But anyway, we're all driving at the same thing. We want to see the Cats succeed this year. So thank you for popping in and continuing on. Let's get in some news here. Going back to the point of conversation before, that Rowan Marshall has met with Chris Scott this week. We can walk and chew gum. We can walk and recruit St Kilda players. We can podcast and chew gum. That's been the whole thing this week. And Rowan Marshall's going to be a Cat. Almost certain about it. The Tassie Devils will be joining the VFL in 2026. That is now locked. Bit of rage bait, huh? Oh, what did we say? What about Stewart's shove on the Brisbane forward? I think Lohman. Yeah, no, I can. I'm not wild about that one. I still think that was. What am I looking for language-wise? The shoving of Kai Lohman, he obviously fell. He obviously ate shit. And Stewie's just a beast. But the actual play from Tom Stewart was all about positioning. It's, taking him out of the line, getting yourself settled in position so you can start to line up the intercept. Kai Lohman, whether he flopped, whether he didn't, I don't know that he did. I think he just maybe was wrong-footed or whatever and went down. But Kai Lohman hit the deck, free kick against. I don't agree with it 100%, but I can at least see that one. What I can't subscribe to is the first one of the Cam Rayner freeze. But yeah, Rowan Marshall, he'll be a Cat. Lucas clearly doesn't like it, but Lucas doesn't like much. I think he's going to be really, really valuable if he comes to the Cats. And a good short-term fix too. Allowing time for Toby, hopefully get his body right, or Mitch Edwards, or Pike, or any one of the Jacob Mollier, any of these young blokes to kind of come through. But yeah, Tassie Devils are joining the VFL in 2026. That's both at the the VFL and VFLW levels. Matthew Lloyd has said this about Chris Scott. I think he'll go down and eat shit, Lucas. I think he'll go down as arguably one of the greatest coaches of all time by the end of this year. Lloydie obviously thinks the Cats are going to win the flag. And Lucas, you're in the chat right now. Tell me about your perspective on Chris Scott if we win the flag this year. I want genuine, honest thoughts, as much as you can kind of put in text here, because it's going to be a bit challenging. If Chris Scott wins if the Cats win the flag this year, thoughts on Chris Scott? And anything other than he's a phenomenal coach. And sorry, it is if I'm not gonna if we win the premiership, your stance. Anything other than he's not a fucking amazing coach is you being a dead set lie. I'm not getting him on. I'm not getting him on. I haven't watched it. I saw you tag me and I didn't see it till the next morning. And I've had... No, actually, I can talk about it. I'm playing Ghost of Yotai. I don't have time for that. But we'll get to do it in a post game. We might get to do it this week. So Ben has thrown a bus on me during post game live the other day, saying that I might host a post game live after one of the finals this week. Yeah, I'll do it. We'll have a post game live after of course, the one that actually is relevant to us. So we'll have a post game live after the Crows and the Hawks game on Friday night. Let's do that. Paul's dogs are out of control. Ben, did you hear that? Post-game live after the Crows and Hawks, because they're the ones we're going to be playing against. So post-game live coming out for that one. Get your thumbnail ready. It'll be tight. It'll be like an hour. I'm not staying up till obscenely late because we've got plenty of finals for that afterwards. But I didn't realize this. Kel Shadir is going to miss the semi-final with a low-grade hamstring injury. Wasn't expecting that. Look, it could very well be a 5-hour show. If everyone can kind of indulge me, I'll just bust out my PlayStation, play a bit of Ghost of Yoto. No one can see me playing it, but I'll talk about how I'm playing it. And not say anything about it at all, because I don't want to breach embargo. And the NDA that I've signed. And we'll talk football at the same time. Could be fun. I'm going to leave this on the screen. It's just a constant reminder for Lucas that he's wrong. So we'll do it. We'll do it on Friday night after the game. Thumbs up. What the fuck is that second emoji? What is that? Is that a picture with a ring on it? Putting a ring on it? Anyway, no one expected Geelong to hit top 2 on the ladder at the end of the season. This guy tipped it. Mitch Lewis kicked 4 goals in the VFL, so that's obviously a pretty adequate substitute for Kel Shadir in the event that he doesn't play. Painting nails. Oh, yeah, shit, I see it. Oh, is that what we're going to do on the stream? That's boring as shit. Anyway. Gary, surely we don't get... Oh, was there some comment about... They reckon that we might get Curnow as well. Why? Because he's a pretty damn good footballer. And he wants to take a big pay cut to come to the Cats. Or, if he wants to come to the Cats, he's happy to take a pay cut. So, I'm not going to say no to getting rockstar talent through the door. I am not the Lucas of this conversation. I don't want to see Neil out. I don't want to see any of those sorts of things. Are you right? Really? Oh, thumbnail. Thumbnail. Not playing fucking charades here, mate. All right. So let's talk about this. Let me quickly bring up my numbers because I've got plenty of thoughts already, but I want to be able to wheel the numbers in to back this up. Come back. Where are you? I'm looking for both Harris Andrews and there's Harris Andrews. 16 disposals, 8 marks. And Shannon Neal, who had far less. What? Lucas, and to anyone just going forward, I don't watch anyone's shows. And this is not because I think they're bad or any of those sorts of things. I don't watch other people's shows because I want my own opinions. I don't want to color my thoughts based on the opinions of others. Wherever I can. If it's avoidable, I'll do it. if I get someone's because a bit of news drops and I get a little bit of op-ed that gets squeezed in at the same time, I can't really help that. But I actively don't listen and watch, and it's not because I think other people's stuff is bad. I also don't have time. Dad, 2 kids, so husband, full-time teacher, hoops crew, video game stuff. I'm writing a book. I've got another one that's up on Kickstarter at the moment. Again, like I'll bring it back up. We've crossed $60,000. I've already been paid out for my share, so I'm unfortunately not reaping the benefits of the almighty success of On The Go. But I'm going to quickly project that one up on the screen because I need to promote it a little bit further. Oh, get out of here, Chris Scott. On The Go, the complete unofficial history of the PlayStation Portal. 63,000 Aussie dollars so far. And I've got my own project that is all mine, and I get 50% of the profits on that I'm hoping to launch in the next couple of months. And if any one of you has bought the book, any one of the 505 people who've bought the book, thank you all very much. It's amazing. But anyway, I'll just keep that there. So, yeah, sorry, Shannon Neal and old mate Harris Andrews. Harris Andrews cuts teams to ribbons with the way he intercepts the ball. And don't get me wrong, he intercepted the ball very, very well at different stages over the course of the game. But what Shannon Neal did really well is he blunted that to an extent. He brought the ball down. He made Harris Andrews compete. He took him to dangerous places, which opened up the space for others. We cannot judge, especially in this modern day and age, the way the game is played. We cannot judge a forward solely on goals and behinds. We just can't anymore. There's so many ways that like a team will move around the ground that may not involve that player. You've got to work around them sometimes. You play through them, play over them. I've got no issues with what he did. Harris Andrews probably clunked. He probably got the ball 3 or 4 times more than I would have liked, but he was pretty ineffective. Like he intercepted the ball really well. Different stages, be pretty ineffective. I've got no issues. And then Shannon Neal got in the end of it. This is the best key defender in the land, and he still got 1 goal, 1 on him in a final. We are, and Lucas, I think you are a massive culprit of this. There are too many people expecting the absolute world out of Shannon Neal at this point of his career. 2 years from now, same sort of performance. Maybe there's a different conversation to be had. But Shannon Neal right now, we cannot keep judging him like he's Jeremy Cameron, like he's Tom Hawkins. Anyway, what have we got here? Let me scroll back through the comments. With our forward line, not everyone gets to eat every week, nor needs to eat every week. Yeah, sometimes you've got to starve. Aussie players do the medals. Oh, I must have missed something prior to that. If Geelong wins the flag, I'd like to see Rankin's granddaughter give out the medals. Her granddad was our first winning premiership captain coach in 1925. That would be nice, symbology-wise. But yeah, as Amy references, the Aussie players get the medals out. Shannon Neal is not going anywhere. He's staying and will improve, just like Tomahawk did when he was younger. Even though Andrews was still their best player, he was far less of an influence thanks to having to look after Scratch all night. 100%. Ben says he's going to be going on Black and White United if the Cats and Pies make the grand final. I'll join you. It's fine. But you sure, Ben? Like, are you sure they're not reaching out expecting to get me and then get you again? A bit like that Bombers podcast recently. Mitch Hardy autobiography. It's about a page long. It's his career starting and then ending. Neil did enough. I like it. Thank you, Jackie. Ben Ben Reeves, tell us if so on Discord. We can come support you. Paul, will you cry man tears if Selwood hands over the Premiership Cup to Danger? Yeah, I will. I've still got to thread the needle on this at the moment. So for me to go to the grand final, I have to navigate a very tricky conversation with my wife because it's my daughter's birthday on grand final day. And I don't know how I'm navigating this yet. The Life and Times of Mitch Hardy by Paul James. One page. It's a one page. McSluggish had a mad Irishman, not a bad knee. Daniel Salter, I think for the first time tonight, but I've missed a few comments, says Go Cats. Thank you for coming on board, mate. Kick Return says, I've been watching Geelong play since 1976. Bruce Nankervis was our captain and Russell Olsen. Chris Scott, by and far the best. I also love Billy Goggin. Thank you. Good feedback there. Really helpful. Horatio says he's also great at getting the ball down into dangerous areas, something he did also on Friday night. Thank you. I agreed. Thank you to everyone coming to my support here about Shannon Neal. Morty says, hey guys, smash that like button, champs. If you haven't already, please make sure to like this video. Share it with your friends and family. Joshy of Smeg, I think, for the first time tonight. Neil did well enough. I think Andrews was one of the few Lions who played his role well. Kiri, I presume in relation to the Selwood Dangerfield thing, says he'll cry too. Kerry says, if Geelong wins the flag and Bailey Smith wins the norms, I will download two. This is the big money. This is the big money Kerry throws around. If Cats win the flag, Bailey Smith wins the norm, I will donate $2,000 super chat on grand final night. That'll send me to tears. Holy shit. Thank you, Kerry. But as we said last time, you don't need to do stuff like that. Would be massive, though, and massively appreciated. And also, if there's anyone who wants to utilize that super chat function, please don't hesitate to do so. Every cent goes towards building out what we do, improving our equipment, whether it's the lighting, microphones. I'd love to get myself a new microphone and mixer. Well, actually, I don't even have a mixer. Like I just have this USB mic. So all of the income that comes in, whether it's from super chats, Patreon, the incredible people at Cyril Cook Florist, YouTube ad rev, that goes towards improving what we do. It's gotten me these amazing lights this year, and we want to reinvest it back into the brand to help make a better product for you in the future. So I don't know how I've accidentally clicked on your comment there, Jackie, but what I've said, Jackie says, I love that old chestnut about kids not being played. It's so untrue. It's hilarious. I like it as well. It would be. The problem I've got, woe is me problem. I whinged and bitched about the MCC guest pass recently. My granddad, who's been a member for 50 plus years, the guest pass is a relic of the old days where they had a ladies pass because women weren't allowed to be members. They woke up and saw their senses there. They just turned it into a generic guest pass and allowed women to sign up and become members. He cancelled his MCC membership effective this new year, which begins at the beginning of the final series. It's very dodgy what the MCC does there. It's not calendar year. It's from September to September. So that guest pass no longer works. So I can't bring my wife in, which would then mean I bring both of my kids. They're under the age of 6, so they can sit in a seat, and it doesn't even cost a cent. I don't even need a ticket. But my wife, I can't get her in anymore. I've got to find a way. I've got to find a way to get them into the MCC. I don't know how yet. I'll make sure to try and remember that, Horatio, on come grand final time, that your daughter's birthday is the day after my own daughter's. Baz's going to win the Brownlow. Hopefully Neil would do a Tom Hawkins and dominate a final. Gary says, I played footy with Ian and John Nankervis at Bowen under 15s. Bruce was our mascot. We're one of the best at getting games into kids. Ben says, absolutely not, Kerry. Although Paul was complaining about the increasing cost of his corporate suite. What's that in response to? Oh. Cam Raygun. Horatio says, has been for years. It's a big part of why we've been successful. Love what you do. Quickly skimming through. I'm going to try and get to the prelim. Are you guys doing a pre-game catch-up? I'm keen. I haven't worked out any sort of logistics for the prelim yet, but I'm keen. Darren says, Ben, even I sit in the outer if I can't get social club tickets. Man of the people. Cam Raygun. It's very good stuff. Whoever kicked Shadu dropped that first. That's a gem. That is an absolute gem. All right. So let's quickly roll through a couple other notes here from the night. So Bailey Smith is the second favourite to win the Brownlow. Nick Dacos is currently the favourite to win it. Nathan Buckley has met with the D's. In fact, he interviewed with them today, from all reports. One of 4 people that have interviewed with the D's about their role. A last touch rule is on the agenda to be introduced to the AFL men's system in 2026. We've been seeing it in the women's game. It's been used in the waffle and a range of other state level competitions. Looks like it's on the way for the AFL men's next year. And it'll be a really interesting one. See how that gets embedded in the game. And the tactical sub seems set to go with 5 players on the bench. Those are your news items for the night. Continue to throw your topics of conversation at me. But wild card round as well, what a disgrace. I'm not opposed to the wild card if they do it right. It fills in the week. I'm all right. I think I can deal. But I want to see them pitch it and kind of see how it's going to work. I want to see it in action before I say it's a bad idea. But before we go any further, it is time for our game of the show. I have to mute this one because it is a licensed title. Gary, and anyone else who doesn't like video games, this is a 2-minute long thing, and then we'll be back to talking football. This is a brand new James Bond game. It's called 007 First Light. I have to mute it because of the licensed music involved. So I'll kind of try to chat a little bit at the same time just to keep, well, we need some audio, right? So bear with me as I screen share and bring it up on the screen for you all to check out. This is 007 First Light. There was a 36-minute long showcase the other day. I'm giving you the best, well, not the best. I'm giving you 2 minutes of it to have a bit of a look at here. Lucas says he's seen it already. For other people, this is new. Ben, jam it. Yeah, I think this is shaping up very well. It comes out on March 27th, 2026. It's been too long since we've seen some James Bond action on film or anything else. And we've only ever seen one good Bond game as well. That's GoldenEye on the Nintendo 64. So we're well overdue to get something excellent. And if there's a team to be able to do it, it's IO Interactive. May 26th, Lucas. Grand Theft Auto 6. This is not like 6 months. This is so within the realms of normal for a release date. Gary says, whoopee-doo. I know you're not a big video game person. Not a video game person at all. Bear with me. We're nearly done. There are a little bit. Liam says, looks similar to the Indiana Jones game. There are some Indiana Jones kind of vibes. Obviously big licensed film franchise as well. But this really has the James Bond feel, like the high stakes, the action, lots of cool stuff. Oh, now, like, Kick, you popped in for the first time tonight. Go feed the dog. My wife's out there. This is the team that makes Hitman, Lucas. My wife's out there. She can feed them. The dogs are gone quiet. Maybe my wife fed them. They are making their own Bond universe. And there you go. That is 007 First Light coming out March 27, 2026 from IO Interactive. And that's it. game of the show is done. We're going to have so many video game related things to talk about over the course of the next few months, especially once the AFL season is done, and we can just have some fun video game streams and talk all about the things that you want to talk about, football related, while we're playing whatever it is that we're playing. So keen to talk more about these sorts of things with you then. But for now, we don't want to burn the likes of Gary and others who aren't as keen on video games out. We don't want to burn you out. First time feature says, which Geelong Cats player could be the next James Bond? Who would be the next James Bond for... Who's the suave cat that would be... You know what I'm going to say? He's Ben's favourite at the moment. He's the bloke whose name he can't spell. I'm going to say Jack Bose. That said, actually. No, Baz is too on the nose. He's too classless. He's too classless to be James Bond. James Bond is a classy individual. Ben says Marco. What people wouldn't have heard because I had to mute that trailer. But this new Bond in 007 First Light is voiced by an Irishman. And so to that note, I'm going to go with Ben's new favourite, Oisin Mullen. He's got the dark hair. He's got the look. He's a good looking rooster. Oisin Mullen. He's my pick. Let me get rid of some of these things off the screen that I no longer need. So yeah, Oisin Mullen for me. But I'm seeing the chat. You've come up with Baz, Mark O'Connor, Max Holmes has popped up. Baz would be the villain. Baz has got villain energy. Mullen says the cowman. There we go. Ex-captain and next Bond. What about Collar? Oh, yeah. The age profile doesn't fit anymore, but his body's starting to fail him a little bit. That's not quite James Bond territory, but is Pierce Brosnan Irish? The Irish aren't constantly making a fuss about wanting. I never knew. Turns out he's Irish. The Irish just want more attention then, right? Huh. Early life. The coast of Ireland, north of Dublin. Drogheda. Ah, good on you, Pierce Brosnan. Danger has... How did none of us say Danger? Danger does have main character vibes. The Irish want their country back. Jason Bourne. Someone could be Jason Bourne. For the young people here, Jason Bourne, the Bourne Identity, Supremacy, Ultimatum, all those, very popular franchise like 20 years ago. Unfortunately, not really been seen since, and that was a gem of a franchise. Tom Atkins is a brute. He'd be like a sidekick. All right. If you've got other topics for conversation, though, for the night, please drop them in there. We'll wrap this one up very, very soon because we've been kind of folding a lot of these big conversation pieces in over the course of the show. And like I said, stay tuned for videos about Rowan Marshall and about Jai Clark and probably some of these new rules before the week is out. So if you've got any other last-minute points of conversation, let me know. Oh, Arya says Ollie Dempsey for Bond. Look, he does. Yeah, I mean, the hair color, I mean, I guess Daniel Craig kind of shook that up a little bit with the lighter, the fairer hair. But Ollie Dempsey does have otherwise the right energy for it, I think. And the creativity. Next, James Bond is Sean Manor. James Warple. Because he's a future cat. We'll see. Who goes out for Reese? I'm not sure if anyone will go out for Reese. Jackie says, hey, Paul, where's the draft video? Ben needs to do me graphics for 6 months or thereabouts. No, 6 months, whatever long it's been, several months. I've been asking for some graphics. He hasn't delivered me graphics. I know exactly. How about just a little juicy morsel, a nugget? Let me bring up the list. Where are we? Content. Specials. Top 10 lists. I've got a spreadsheet here that outlines who's who in the zoo. And I'll give you. So I've got a list. It's the top 10. 10, of course, being the weakest of the drafts that feature on the list. There's plenty of other drafts that don't feature. Or should I just give you the list of all the drafts that don't feature? How about, Jackie, tell me what you think. There's a whole bunch of drafts that I considered. There's obviously a bunch of other drafts that don't feature whatsoever at all. But there's a bunch of drafts that I considered for the list. Do you want me to rule some of them out? Like, can I read out the ones that don't feature anymore? Just as a throwing a bone exercise. We'll get this one started. What do you think? Why could? Because he's nominated St Kilda. He's not opting to go anywhere else now. Do your top 10 if you like. I won't go that way. No. We'll outline the ones that the drafts that didn't make the cut, and then you can kind of read into that how you like from there. So, hang on. I'm just making sure I've resorted them all in numerical order. In terms of the ones that didn't make the cut, sorry. These are all drafts that I considered but didn't ultimately make it. So, now I've just destroyed the formatting and I can't read the names. There we go. All right. So in no particular order, one particular order, chronological order, I should say. There's the 1998 draft, which includes David Clark, David Wojcinski. We've got the 2000 draft that includes Josh Hunt and Max Rook. It's pick 40. He was a rookie. You've got 2004. We've got Brent Prismal, Nathan Ablett as a father-son, Matty Egan, and I'll even toss Brad Ottens in there as a trade that we got that year. We've got 2005, Travis Varco, Trent West, Matthew Stokes. 2007, Harry Taylor. 2010, Cam Guthrie at pick 23. James Podsiadly was a pick 58 rookie upgrade. In 2015, you've got Sam Menegola. Paddy Dangerfield was a trade that year. In 2017, you got Lockie Fogarty, Tim Kelly, Brian Myers. And we even got Gary Ablett back via trade. You've got 2018. Clark? Hang on. Long 2018 draft. Just want to make sure I got my... Oh, that's right. Yeah, Jordan. Yeah, that's right. 2018, Jordan Clark, Tom Atkins, number 11 in the rookie draft. And we got Gary Rowan through trade. 2019, Sam DeConing and pick 19, Brad Close, pick 14 rookie. In 2020, I might at some point have to revise this one because 2020 is proving to be a pretty good draft for us. 2020, Max Holmes at pick 20, Shannon Neal at pick 33, and we got Jeremy Cameron through trade. And then there's 2021, Toby Conway, pick 24, Mitch Nevitt, pick 25, Ollie Dempsey, a pick 15 rookie. They're all of, and to Aria, your question there, just in case you missed it, these are all the drafts that didn't make the list, that I considered, but didn't make the list. I'll read out the years. I'm going to try and do this in a random... No, that's it. That's it. That's all I'll give you tease-wise. Ben, I'm just going to put together the video and I'm going to send it to you to edit with. Tell me what you think about this, Ben. I'm just going to record the video. I'm going to put our little countdown things in the middle. And you can stick some graphics over the top. Does that work? It's the only way that this thing will get done. And I do want to kick off our top 10 list. I'd love to have this one. I definitely want to have out before the draft because that would be appropriate, right? But yes, those are all the, I guess, the honorable mentions, draft years that didn't make the cut. For some context, maybe just by decade. For the top 10 drafts, we have 1, 2, 3 drafts from the 1990s. We have 1, 2, 3, 4 drafts from the noughties, 2000 through 2009. We have 2 drafts from the 2010s. And we have 1 draft from the 2020s. So this current decade. I'll leave you to speculate on those. It's going to be a little while before this finally goes to air, but that's where we're at. All right. On that note, we'll wrap things up for tonight with that little tease of future content from the Hoops Crew. Like I said, stay tuned for the draft video in due course. Stay tuned this week for videos on Jai Clark, on Rowan Marshall, and maybe some more about the new rules as well. So stay tuned on all of those things. But a very fascinating situation. And I'm looking forward to discussing all of those topics over the course of the week. If you've enjoyed this video, please make sure to like the Hoops Crew on YouTube. If many of you have already, but please make sure you drop a like on this video. Subscribe to the Hoops Crew. Check out all of our content. Share this video with your friends and family. Get the word out there about all of the awesome stuff we're creating. From myself, from Ben, the chaps. Lots of awesome content on the Hoops Crew. Check it all out. If you enjoyed that, consider checking out our Patreon as well. It's patreon.com/thehoopscrew. There's a 7-day free trial there. See what it's all about. Try before you buy. And it only costs $5 a month to continue to get that content directly delivered to your email inbox. Exclusives, extended content, early access content, lots for you there to enjoy. In terms of socials, you'll find me at Paul James Games. That's on Twitter, Blue Sky, and Instagram. The Hoops Crew is at The Hoops Crew. And until next time, thank you all for having tuned in tonight. It's been an absolute pleasure. Big show tonight. Lots of positive energy. Stay tuned for the Paul James Show on Thursday and for post-game live on Friday night, where I'll chat all about Adelaide and Hawthorn and our soon-to-be opponent. Until then, thanks a lot for watching, and I'll see you later.